in order to carry a big room, you have to have a certain kind of instrument that can do that. And so I like to utilize the money I spent getting that education.
This place is so great. I haven't been here since we were in class.
Do you see anyone from class?
No. Do you?
Oh yeah, we have reunions. I think that you're the only one that still works. Oh, Cindy does a lot of voiceovers.
But you were the one we all looked up to.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, you were the best of all of us. You were method. I wasn't method.
You were method.
I was method light. You could do anything. I could watch you do anything.
Welcome to the Actor's Side. Today he is a Tony Award-winning, two-time Emmy Award-winning actor, and one you know from so many things. It's literally a cliche to say stage, screen, and television, but that is Billy Crudup. Welcome.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate it.
You have conquered them all.
Well, I'm happy to be a working actor, I'll tell you that. Wherever they put me in, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, do you have a preference? You seem to be a creature of the stage at one point.
I confess wherever the good part is, and I've had an abundance of phenomenal parts across the different media, but on stage in particular, I've had really good parts come my way, and it's just hard to turn them down.
Yeah. And you're a trained actor, as they say in the business.
Well, I spent 3 years trying to learn about the craft of acting and how you manage your voice and how you manage text and speech and that sort of thing. So it is very useful on stage. And in order to carry a big room, you have to have a certain kind of instrument that can do that. And so I like to utilize the money I spent getting that education.
Really, Bo, you certainly did it well. I mean, 4 Tony nominations. I mean, phenomenal in leads like The Elephant Man, on Broadway and all kinds of different shows. That comes with training, I guess. But did you always want to be an actor?
Well,
was it just?
I didn't. Nobody in my family was an actor. I had a step uncle, who I recall he's a writer, and I recall when I was younger, probably around 7 or 8, we were all meant to gather around the television because he was going to make an appearance in a TV movie, and when his big scene came up, he was on the phone and he said, "Did you see it?" And we didn't see him, and it turns out that it was just a line off camera. And my grandmother was furious that she had spent money helping him, I think, to be out in LA, and that was his one big thing. So I remember there being a bit of a kerfuffle around his acting career. That was the only proximity I had to somebody who was trying to make it as an actor. So no, I didn't want to be an actor, but I ended up acting all the time. I was always in school plays. And when I moved around a lot, so my way of fitting in was being the class clown. So whenever a teacher would say, "Okay, it's Flag Day, who's going to dress up like Uncle Sam?" I'd be like, "I'll definitely do that." Additionally, I discovered that the way, for whatever reason, my mind works, it was not difficult for me to internalize text. So I could read something and then spit it right back out. I think most actors probably aren't aware that they have that hard wiring in the way some people are good with math, actors are good with text. And you discover it, though, as that feature of your brain starts to atrophy over time. And you're on stage and all of a sudden none of the words are there. Yes, and that's a rather uncomfortable experience. But I think once I discovered it was a place that I could feel useful in the world, I wanted to pursue what I suspected was the most deliberate approach that you could take to acting, which is getting a master's degree, because so many of the people who were mentors to me were teachers, and I thought if I had my master's, I could teach acting, and if I couldn't have a career.
Oh, okay, yeah. If you can't act, teach.
I am qualified. I thought actually, if I will teach, and if acting goes along with it, then I'll do that.
Oh, cool.
But as soon as I met the other students at acting school, I realized that there were a lot of people who wanted to take it very seriously, were interested in the craft, and from that moment, I had ambitions to be a professional actor.
Wow. I ask all of this not just because we're called the Actor's Side here, and this is all about acting, but also because you are now playing an actor.
Yeah.
In Jay Kelly.
Yeah.
Opposite George Clooney, which is a terrific film on so many levels about being an actor, you know, and the cost of it as well. And your character, early on in the film, we see what's happening here is he was going for the part. Jay Kelly gets the part. It's kind of by accident, just being in the right place at the right time, as they say.
Big part of it.
And has the career that you didn't get.
Right.
And it's fascinating to watch. And I'm just wondering, you've had so much experience, you know, preparing for this role as an actor.
Right.
Did you bring it, you know?
You read a part like that, and actually the character that I play, Timothy, that is the most common experience for any actor, which is the rejection and the loss of opportunity and the proximity to some sort of gilded life. And I think one of the lovely things about the film from Noah's point of view, because he really
Noah Baumbach,
the director, he really loves actors, and he is really interested in the acting in his films, and he writes for actors to have opportunities to exploit the various dynamics in his films. This one, it was so close in proximity that it's just right there for you. There's not, the one thing that wasn't close was the kind of acting style that he wanted my character to attend to, this method acting as Noah imagined it. I don't know what method acting is. That's not the kind of training that I had.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to explain to him that I don't really know how to manufacture feelings. I can try to tell the story well enough and collaborate with the other actors so we create something ingenious between us, hopefully, or terrible, you know. It goes both ways. You never know which way it's going to happen. But if you're in a creative, collaborative environment, you have the best opportunity to find something new between you if you're attending to the script and the events of the scene and telling the story. Now, if emotion comes with that, your deliberate insights into the character, the dynamics between the other actors and the other characters, the direction that you get, fine.
Yeah.
But the idea of sobbing for the purpose of sobbing is not the way that I think of it. And it's sort of what he wanted from the scene. So we had a lot of talks about how I don't do that. And I kept saying, but Noah, your film is predicated on me being able to execute this thing that I don't know how to do. And he said, I know.
To be believable as this actor
Exactly.
that you're playing.
And the guy who is able to pull off what is essentially a stunt.
Yeah.
I would call that stunt acting. And I've tried to avoid that at all costs because you never know. Feelings are capricious. And the kind of work that you do with method acting is a totally different approach to storytelling. You know, the immersive quality of it, the personalization of some of the emotions so that you are a raw nerve ready to go. And it's a different kind of preparation. And so I had to learn a few new tools as I discovered Noah wasn't changing the script. So I would say all in all, I think actors who see the film will relate much more to my character than they will to George's character. Everybody will be charmed by George and his performance because it's a beautiful performance. And I think Americans in particular have a special affection for movie stars because they represent the sort of gilded life that it should be for everyone. And this is the land of opportunity. So we kind of put these people up as royalty in a way. When in fact, obviously, that's not the case.
No.
George's character displays that he has pursued that career at great cost to himself personally and sort of missed his life, which I think is a great metaphor for Americans who keep pursuing something and they miss their life in the meantime.
And that was so interesting about your dynamic with with Jay Kelly here too, is that he pursued it at the cost of that friendship and all of that too.
And rewrote the history of that friendship to accommodate his own ambition.
Exactly.
Which is something actors do too. You know, in this sort of carnival life where you go off to Tulsa for 3 months, and you become emotionally, psychologically involved with a group of people trying to tell a story, make very vulnerable choices in front of them. Everybody falls in love with one another, and then you're gone.
Yeah.
And whatever experience you had there then becomes a part of your own story. And the way that you tell that story over time becomes your memory of that event. That happens to everybody.
Yeah.
And so you have disparate ideas of what happened during that very emotional, fraught time, and it happens again and again and again and again. So you run into these people
Right.
who may have had a really terrible time with you, but you don't recall it
Yeah.
that way because you had rewritten the history of it. And so the confrontation that ends up happening, whether it's a Cold War or something hostile, can be interesting to find. Or worst, there's kind of deference to, oh, I remember you. I think we worked together. And in your mind, you're like, but you were the most important person to me in the world, in all of Tulsa. That's a pretty common exchange between actors.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The movie, when I saw it, really makes you think of what actors go through beyond just the profession, what they give up, because you're always on location, you're always off doing somewhere, you're on Broadway every single night, whatever it is. Yeah. And it's a very difficult life to have a personal life and a family life, and this shows that.
It is.
And, has that ever run through you in your career here of
No question about it.
missing out?
I remember very early on, I think I was doing a play in New York, and I missed my best friend's wedding. And that was really heartbreaking to me. People were just starting to get married in in our mid-20s, and these were seminal events. And I moved around a lot when I was younger. I went to about 8 different schools before I finished high school, between Long Island and Florida and Texas. And so I was really covetous of the friendships that I had and wanted to maintain them, and realized that I was going to miss funerals. I was going to miss weddings. I was going to miss, births and the seminal kinds of birthday parties and seminal kinds of events that help you to maintain your sense of self and your friendships, etc. And so there's a couple of things in particular, as soon as I started to have agency, that I made sure to make room for. One of them is an annual trip that I take with a bunch of my buddies that I've known since like first grade. To play golf and cards for a weekend. And so whenever I can, and there was a period of about, 10 years in there where I didn't have any agency, and if I had a job, I had to take it. Yeah. But occasionally, the careers go like this, and occasionally at a peak you can say, listen, I need October 2nd and 3rd off, whatever the cost, I need to do that.
Yeah.
And the people will accommodate you. But it's for that reason, because I want to preserve those friendships. And it's meaningful, history over time. If you're in any kind of creative life, whether you're a musician or an actor, where you travel, you have the potential of missing some of the things that are foundational to so many people. Yeah.
It's interesting. Well, you've done so much, and so many things. So I'm going to ask you about some of these movies.
All right.
You started in 1996. I think your first film was Sleepers or something like that.
That was the first one that came out. I was in an independent movie called Grind before that.
Okay.
That I played an ex-con.
Yeah.
Who liked racing cars.
Right.
And but that didn't come out until after Sleepers.
Yeah, and Sleepers had this incredible cast. I mean, you're working.
Was a bonkers job to
Yeah.
and that I was not long out of school, I think, when I got that job. But Barry Levinson was a director that I grew up loving. His Baltimore trilogy was some of our family's most favorite films.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many times we watched Diner, but to get a chance to work with him alongside Brad Pitt and Jason Patrick and Minnie Driver and Ron Eldard, and then we had Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman.
I know.
It was bonkers. And mercifully, Ron Eldard, who was sort of my best friend in the film, he came from the same school of thought that I did. We were both interested in acting and talking about it. So it kind of eased the experience for me. Otherwise, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
We got to that was it was a murderer's row of great actors there. But having somebody there who had a similar kind of experience made there was a scene in the courtroom where Dustin Hoffman is representing us, and we're watching Robert De Niro testify. And for a young actor, it's just it's bonkers.
Amazing.
And very difficult to kind of root yourself and ground yourself in any kind of reality. Ron helped me with that. But that was a rather extraordinary start.
And considering Brad Pitt was in that movie too, later on you did a great movie called Almost Famous,
Yeah.
Cameron Crowe,
Yeah.
yes, and played the lead guitarist of this band,
Right.
Stillwater. And I understand you replaced Brad Pitt
Well,
in
I think
that movie.
he dropped out.
Yeah.
He was attached to it. I want to say Natalie Portman was attached to it too. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
But this happens in Hollywood often. In fact, Keanu Reeves was supposed to do Dr. Manhattan.
Oh.
So, in Watchmen.
Oh, wow.
And he dropped out. And
So you got that.
A lot of parts that I've had. I'm standing by. Put me in, coach. I'll be the substitute. Whatever it takes. And mercifully, Brad Pitt dropped out of that, and the part was available. And so I spent 3 hours with Cameron Crowe on a couch because I didn't play guitar. And Cameron was
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm wondering.
oh crap, what am I gonna do here? He's kind of right for the part, but he doesn't play guitar, and this guy is supposed to be an expert guitar player. What am I going to do? Well, he gave me the part, and I started working really hard on trying to fake play guitar, which I knew wouldn't work for a certain subset of the audience. But we wanted it to work for the broader group, and it takes a lot of work to learn an instrument when you're in your 30s. Your brain does not want to do it.
Oh, no.
So I was not having a joyful, fun time. It was just like rigorous work. It was great work.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to be doing it, but I definitely had my nose to the grindstone.
Oh, it was, and Kate Hudson, was.
She was phenomenal. And Frances McDormand, who, and I can't remember if it came before or after, but we worked on a rather long production of Oedipus together off Broadway in New York. And I'm just such an enormous fan of hers.
Yeah.
She and Phil Hoffman and Jeffrey Wright and Sam Rockwell, these are people that, I saw on stage and on screen in New York growing up, and I wanted to emulate those careers.
Oh, and you certainly have. I mean, I think the next film that came out after Sleepers was a Woody Allen film, Everybody Says I Love You, which you got to sing in. It's a musical that he did,
It's true, much to the chagrin of my classmates, I must tell you, because when I was in acting school, they're supposed to teach you to dance and to sing.
Yeah.
But not everybody can be taught to sing well, and I was that guy. However, I am very loud. So my classmates who were really good at singing would typically take a step away from me whenever we were doing a chorus kind of thing, because I would drag them down. So the fact that I was in a musical singing really pissed them off, and they all got CDs of it for Christmas. Billy Crudup right there. I think it's B. Crudup singing that song.
Wow.
And that was a total thrill for me. Well, what I realized also too is there's a bit of movie magic there, Peter.
Yeah.
When you go in to record it, the poor musical director, I thought he was going to have a heart attack when he heard me sing it first. And he was like, oh, what am I going to do with this? And he said, have you ever heard Rex Harrison? And I was like, I don't think so. He's like, well, it's called speak singing, where you don't really sing.
That's
you
right.
just kinda, and I was so disappointed. But when we actually recorded it, Woody Allen said, no, I'd like to hear you sing it. And I discovered that if there's 10 notes in the song and I get one right each take, they can piece it together.
Right.
And then it sounds like I could actually sing the song. So that's what they did.
Wow.
Yeah.
The magic of making movies,
Exactly.
how the sausage is made. Is
I'm
just.
very, very grateful for that.
You had one very memorable role early on too, Steve Prefontaine, in Without Limits too, the great runner, and that was a full-on leading role there.
My dad was very invested in sports, and we had Sports Illustrated, on the coffee table as I was growing up. And I remember this rather haunting picture of this young runner. And that was all I recalled about it until I read the script.
Yeah.
And I started asking my dad about it as well. And the story of this guy, what he was doing for amateur athletes, in addition to what he was doing on the track, was pretty novel. He was a really interesting, charismatic, driven person who was excelling in a very unique way. The kinds of records that he was breaking nationally it was unusual. The way that he had outpaced his competitors, and the way that he did it, middle distance running out front, was not exactly a smart way to do it.
Yeah.
But he had a philosophy behind it. He wanted to define his character and his heart through this sport. He wanted to show people what it means to have guts in life by executing and performing as a middle distance runner. And that's a fascinating approach. And he was also outspoken about it. In addition, he thought that amateur athletes needed to get a little bit of money when colleges were benefiting, or when the Olympic Committee was benefiting from their performance, and the college and the amateur athletes were living in, poor conditions and having to work second jobs while training constantly. So that's a movement which now has come to fruition in colleges now. So he was a fascinating character.
Oh, and you played him so well.
Thank
I
you.
remember that. Of course, it was the great Robert Towne.
It was Robert
who
Towne,
directed it.
and Connie Hall shot it.
And oh my God! I mean,
And I look back at it, Peter, and I have to say I have a lot of regret, because I felt like I was in over my head. Tom Cruise was producing it. He and Paula Wagner were producing it, and it was a $25 million Warner Brothers movie, and I was playing this cocky guy, and I suppose like that's sort of came out in me everywhere. It's like I had to pretend like I knew what I was doing. But what happened was I missed the opportunity to really talk to people like Connie and Donald Sutherland and Robert Towne about movie making and their careers, because I didn't want to feel, or them to feel, like I wasn't in control of playing the part. And so I think back on it now with a little bit of regret, but it was incredible opportunity.
Oh my God! And actually, I guess you worked with Tom Cruise obviously in Mission Impossible 3.
I did.
Which you were as it turns out. I'm sure you've seen Mission
Spoiler
Impossible
alert.
3. Yeah. I'm not giving away much here to most people.
That came out 20 years ago.
But you were the bad guy, and that must have been fun to get into it.
It was
with Tom
amazing.
on camera.
It certainly was. I did tell this story once before, but it's worth repeating. J.J. Abrams, he wrote and directed that, or was at least a co-writer on that. And there's a big scene, not unlike Jay Kelly, where my character has to explain to Tom Cruise how he's been duped, how he thought of me as his subordinate, but in fact, I'm so well connected in ways that he couldn't possibly understand. And I do it while he's bound and gagged and been beaten up. And when I got the monologue, it was a really great monologue, and I wanted to start working on it right away. I need a bit of time with the text to make it good. You can memorize things typically, but in order to make it interesting, make it sound like it's coming out of you and you've thought through it, you need some time to do what's called text analysis. And I said to JJ, this is great, I'm on it right now. And he said, oh, no, don't start memorizing it. We're working through a couple of the bits and pieces here, and I need to make sure that the story is being told in the way that we're shooting it now. So they were constantly changing the script. Right. So about 2 weeks out, I said, JJ, I for this much text, in order to do it well, I need time now. Can we lock it down? He said, oh, not yet, we're almost there. A week before shooting, I'm like, JJ, I'm just going to start memorizing this. Win, lose, or draw. If you guys change it, you change it. But if you want it to be good. And he's like, no, I promise it's coming today. 3 days before. Nothing. The day of.
Oh, no.
I get a new monologue with all of this. And we get on set, and I can't spew any of it out. I mean, nothing is there. And Tom, with all of his beat up makeup, he's like, no problem. You ever work with cue cards? And I was like, no, Tom, I have not yet worked with cue cards. And he was like, we're on it. Get this monologue on a cue card.
Oh my God.
Cut to Tom, like when they were doing they were shooting on me, so he was off camera.
Right.
Is holding the cue card, but like holding it like this, so he still has eye contact with me, acting his ass off through this while like,
Wow.
holding the cue card. I mean, a phenomenal colleague in that. So if you rewatch it, you can see my eyes probably darting between the cue card and his eye.
Oh my God. I've got to rewatch
I
it
had
to
to
see
read
that.
it.
Unbelievable. I mean, I look at all these movies, High Low Country and Big Fish, Tim Burton, Stage Beauty, one I really liked, by the way. And of course, you mentioned Watchmen and Justice League, the infamous Justice League.
Yes.
Your Zack Snyder period here.
Yes,
Which is cool to do.
that was great to do.
And Alien Covenant.
Oh yeah, to work with Ridley Scott was a dream. I mean that man has been producing great work for so long. And you know, if you make one good movie, you're a pretty good director. If you make two good movies, you might be like one of the best of your generation. If you make three good movies,
Yeah.
you're in the pantheon. And Ridley has, made I don't know how many over decades.
A lot, but he didn't start making features until he was 40.
That's just,
He'd done all those commercials. That's even more amazing.
I agree. And, I had some ideas about the character because I realized it was a sort of losing part. My poker buddies call me Space Fredo, but the character makes a very bad decision on behalf of the crew.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And it's not a well thought through decision. And I was just trying to find a way with Ridley to sort of broaden the scope of that so the audience didn't completely put him off. I was not successful in that, but it did afford me some time with Ridley in his studio, which was probably like twice as high as this room here and 4 times as big, and the walls were floor to ceiling sketches that he did, like constantly sketching the different camera angles he wants, the design that he's looking for. I don't think I'd ever seen somebody as prolific in their craft as Ridley in his element. And it was, what an incredible force and experience it was to work with him.
Unbelievable. And stay away from face huggers.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was the other thing too. He's like, so are you all right looking into the egg? And I'm like, well, I'm not all right, really. I know how this turns out. And he's like, I know, but in the story, you will have been the first person ever to get the face hugger and have the chest burster. I was like, well, that's awesome. I totally get that. But for all of the viewing public, I'm going to be the idiot who knew what was happening. And he's like, and are you okay with that? I was like, yeah, sure, all right, whatever. What am I gonna do? But that was a pretty fun experience. I was cracking up most of the time. There's plenty of outtakes of me just getting up to him and going, I can't do this. I can't. I know what's about to happen. But it was that was super fun. You also you mentioned Stage Beauty, and the production designer of that, a guy named Tim Hatley, did an absolutely beautiful job with that. But I'm getting to work with him again, as the screenwriter Eric Roth has adapted High Noon for the stage.
Yes,
and I'm about
Paula
to do
Wagner's
Paula
producing
Wagner
that.
is
She's a friend of mine, and she's talked about it endlessly. And the last time I had talked to her, she didn't have the cast.
Yep.
So.
And so we've got a wonderful actor, Denise Goff, who was in a show called People, Places, and Things, and also Angels in America. But it's just a stellar artist, and we're going to start rehearsals in about a month. So
Wow.
I'm getting to work with Tim again, which is a really
That's so
great
cool.
experience.
And you're going back to Broadway.
It's going to be in London, actually. We're going to be on
London.
on the
Okay,
West
that's
End.
right. Yeah,
The
London.
Harold Pinter Theatre.
And I think their hope is to go to Broadway.
Mine too.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal story. The writer of High Noon was blacklisted.
Yeah.
And it's essentially about people capitulating to the threat of violent force. Yeah. And it's a great story to tell.
Oh, it's an amazing story. Carl Foreman, who you're talking
Carl
about,
Foreman,
the
yeah,
great
exactly.
director who was blacklisted in Hollywood, and it's timely now.
It most
If
certainly
ever
is.
there was a time for
When
High
Eric
Noon.
sent it to me, I said, this needs to be on. I was like, I'm not sure I'm the right guy for it, but I'll give it a shot. If you want me to do that part, I'll try to figure out my own Will Kane.
Yeah.
I can't be Gary Cooper, but I'll figure out a different way to approach the story. And we did a workshop of it, and all concluded that whatever the risk was, it was worth the effort. So we're gonna go give it a shot.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I've been hearing about that and hoping that it's going to come about. And of course, before we go, the morning show
Yes.
continues to watch Corey just, and it's unspooling as we speak here, season 4. But he's back in action, there's no question. And it's such a fun character. You've obviously won 2 Emmys for it already. What does that mean to you to have a role like that?
It was an enormous gift. I was doing a show off Broadway in New York, and one of my colleagues, my manager, Aline Kashishian, she said, I want some of my other clients to come and see this because I think you're doing very good work, and if you can network with any of them. One of them was Jen. And so Jen Aniston came and saw the show, and she said, well, I'm developing this TV show. If there are any parts in the pilot that would be interesting to you, tell me, and I'll lobby on your behalf. And I was like, well, whoever that weirdo is playing the angles, I've seen that guy a lot in New York. So give me and because the play that I was doing, it was just me telling a story.
Yeah.
And so I had about a 48-page monologue. I knew that I could manage the text in there after doing that play. So I said, give me that one. And it took a while because not everybody else was convinced that I could play the part. I had to come out here to LA to pitch myself. And like some of the people were like, oh, so you're still acting. That's great.
Oh my God.
I know. And I was like, so, yeah, I mean, that's one of the things you have to deal with. Well, for Alien Covenant, I had to put myself on tape with dummy sides. I didn't even get to read the whole script.
Oh my God.
And I didn't get to meet with Ridley. I was, being an actor, even if you've had a terrific career like I have, you still go through times where people are not interested in your work. They forget who you are. They don't know if you can manage something, or they think you've gotten too old. So they wanted somebody younger for the part. And mercifully, the writer and Jen and a number of other people gave me an opportunity. And so at that point, I just didn't want to mess it up. So that first couple of weeks of work was a sweaty experience for me. I had just an incredible group around, and what they've written for me subsequent to that has just been, I read the scripts and I go, oh my gosh, you guys are going to give me a chance to do that? Oh my fun.
Oh my God.
And so it has been a real gift to get a chance to
It's so much fun watching you in this season, wanting to be, trying to be a film producer because you're on the outs and so, okay, I'll make films. And it's hilarious.
It is. And, the writers have gotten it so right that there are any number of executives, even politicians, who have come up to me or somebody who represents me and said, that's based on me, isn't it? They all think it's based on them because he's super smart, sees around the corner, works angles and stuff, has a sense of humor, and now all the producers think, oh, that's me, right?
Yeah. Down to the last name on his list to get the star. All of that stuff is so funny. And Marion Cotillard's great in it. I know you worked with her in Blood Ties, and actually she was in Public Enemies as well.
And Big Fish. That was her
Big
first
Fish.
English-speaking role.
Wow.
My wife then.
So you have a whole kind of history with her, and it's great.
I do. She's fantastic. And
It's great to watch you work with her.
It's great. We had an absolute ball. And I look forward to working with her anytime I can. I wish I spoke French because then I could do one of the French movies with her, but no.
But by the way, she cries on cue beautifully. I saw that in the show.
I don't know how she does it, but
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, you could definitely be a teacher if this all doesn't work out. You're great.
Okay.
Billy Crudup, thanks for joining us on the Actors Side.
I appreciate it.